All right, guys. So let's give this a go. Please welcome our special guest today, Gustavo Saab from Google Ads growth team. Or please, Gustavo, introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are, what you do, and yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Losi. Firstly, I want to thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure. Hi, everyone. I'll give a quick, just not summary, but like a quick brief description of what I do. I do work at Google, and what I do is I am part of an acceleration and growth team, right? What we do is we focus within the industry, within different vertical and different business models, and we help a business to scale, grow, and expand the results that they have, right? I know it sounds very general, very uh, kind of like generic, but as we know, we have different business models, audience in here today. So in few words, this is what we do, right? And I've been for a couple of years working within the industry, and when I say industry, I mean all the different ones that are here. So yeah, very happy to be here, and very happy to just be talking today. I'll be speaking on my behalf, and I will be talking about my own personal experience. So I believe this is going to be very helpful, very beneficial. And then at the end of the talk, we will have kind of like next steps and follow up for everyone or anyone that is interested to kind of have like a more deep conversation one on one and so on. But don't worry, we'll talk about that later, and we'll give all the specifics, right?
Thank you, Gustavo. Before we jump to the real content, like what we're going to talk about today, let's go quickly over our today's agenda. So first, we were going to begin with what's new in Google Ads, like everything you need to know before you launch your campaigns. Like what are the new tools? What can you leverage from Google Ads before you even get started? Because by the end of the day, a lot of the tools, like we try to find those tools outside of Google Ads or outside of platforms, but some of them are pretty solid within the platform. So that will give you like a good start. Then we go into the Google Ads ad account structure, like what is the best approach on how to structure your Google Ads accounts. Like Gustavo will give us a real good explanation, like how to structure it and how to organize everything. Then we will talk about optimization best practices, like what Gustavo sees from his end and what are his recommendations. Then we're going to talk about conversion tracking and automation. Like we know what's happening these days with all these privacy updates and all these things that are sort of limiting ourselves from being able to track our campaigns like we used to do. And then, last but not least, but again, like before the last point, sorry, we will go into landing page best practices. We'll show you a few examples, and we'll go into the ever changing Google Ads policies or Google Ads compliance, which by the end of the day is something that is happening with all the traffic sources, not just Google Ads. So, one of the best things that we can do as buyers is stay up to date with the compliance updates and do our best within the compliance guidelines and push our campaigns forward. Like, uh, let's start with Gustavo. Like, Gustavo, can you please talk about what's new on Google Ads? What is going on with the latest updates and what's going on with the tool with internal tools that you guys have and how affiliates can leverage them.
Of course, of course. Here, like, it's probably very beneficial to just like highlight a little bit of what you discussed, right? Like, at the end of the day, there are so many updates happening. There is like a lot of evolution within the tools, within the solutions, and one of the one that will be very useful for affiliation and depending on the business model, right? Depending on the channel that we use. But one of the latest ones that we launched, it's demand gen, right? For anyone that used in the past before display, or that the business model or the funnel that we oversee includes display, demand gen can be very beneficial. Like, I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm not saying it's for all of the different offers or different channels that we're utilizing, but demand gen will be very useful when we're talking about conversions within the display let's say, funnel, right? In this one, it's a smart campaign. It'll help us like achieve the right placement at the right time, reaching our audience, where it's more uh, propense to convert. So very happy to be playing with this within different industries, and we had very good results. So at the end of the day, it all depends on the business model. It depends if we are utilizing affiliation for a specific industry where we use a lot of display. Like if we talk about like a video content, if we talk about different industries that will utilize this, this is one of the greatest tools that we just recently launched, right? And other type of updates that we can talk about when it comes to Google Ads, like they are not new, but they are updates that are happening in the coming let's say weeks, months time. It'll be, you know, the change on the cookies. It will be as well the let me just, it will be a lot of the consent mode, and these type of areas, like we can always discuss them, we can always go through them, we can always have a separate conversation when we talk about what is your specific business model, which one will be the one that will be implementing, and which one will be the one that will be needed in terms of making changes or adjustments, right? But this is a completely different universe, a completely different scope that we can take probably on a separate call. Now, on what I will like to discuss on terms of account structure, right? Like there is not golden rule. There is not one actual way of how to stipulate your accounts. But what I will discuss here, I'm gonna base it on an example. Let's say that I'm a buyer and I oversee different verticals, right? I have a health vertical, then I have some e-commerce vertical based on gadgets, then let's say that I also have content, and then I also have let's say another type of vertical. What it will be very beneficial will be to have an MCC, which is like an admin account. It could be an agency admin account, it could be a general account, but have an own admin account. And then from there, it will be diversifying and putting every vertical separately in order to align and adjust better the audience, right? Like what we do in here is, let's say that I have on the first example, I have the health vertical, and then I oversee different offers or different areas within the health vertical. Then it's important to have them on separate accounts, right? Now, if I were to have, let's say, a video content offer that I'm running, and it's just matter of the same offer, but I'm running it in different countries, what I want to do is like I want to analyze what type of different geographic locations I'm going to be targeting, if it's going to be related in terms of time zone, related in terms of language, related in terms of audience behavior. Then based on that uh, will be useful to have a tun, tun, tun. Let me just see, because apparently you guys cannot see my screen. So
No, yeah, maybe you forgot to share screen.
there you go.
There we go. Yeah,
Now, pam pam pam.
I think you are on the on the wrong screen.
Let me just move back into this one. Can you guys, and let me know when you guys can see it. Turun, tun, tun. There you go. Right?
All right, now we're rolling.
Amazing. Now, sorry about that, guys. A little hiccup in terms of of the live streaming, but there you go. Now, when we talk about on the previous explanation, I don't think there was anything that we were missing out, so nothing to worry. But in terms of the account structure, this is the one that we will be that I was discussing, right? On the first section, on the first part, we will talk about what is the vertical, and the different colors will represent different like type of offers. In the second one will be like, let's say we talk about one specific industry, one specific offer, but then we have different countries and different regions that will make sense to have them separately in terms of aligning with the optimization of the account. Like what we want to do is we want to target our audience, but we want to as well get the most out of the audience, let's say not only structure but optimization of the account, and the ramping up and the understanding on the algorithm on what is the right audience. So this is something that we will call best practices. And let's say on the third example, the third chunk. In that, let's say that we have one big vertical. We're overseeing, as again, let's talk about health, right? But then we oversee two different completely let's say sub verticals. One of them is like something related to blood, or something related to memory loss, or X, Y, or Z, and then the other one is completely different. It's a Instead of being one product, then the other one is more content, right? Then it's important to have just sub MCCs, sub accounts, where you will be able to have like the distribution of your account. Now, this will help you. At the beginning, it might look like a lot of accounts, and whenever you're starting, or whenever you're trying to transition from having a single account structure to a multiple accounts, it might be like a lot, but these will help you a lot with not only organizing your structure, but as well like helping each one of them to understand, as in the algorithm, understanding what's the best audience and what's the best conversion for each one of them. So these are best practices, and this is something that will be the grounds, the pillars of your structure, that it's at all point aimed on the future, right? Like on when are we gonna scale, and whenever we start moving from having a couple of offers, a couple of like different business models or different channels, to a multi offer or multi channels, right? Now, when we talk about different optimization and best practices, like, I mean, in here it comes down to what is the right way of doing it, what is the, let's say, the golden rule. And in terms of like having a specific rule that will be ruling every single traffic that we're going to be running, uh, there is not going to be like a one answer to it, right? It will always be like, it depends on the type of industry that we're running, it depends on the channel, it depends on the business model, it depends on many things, right? But then what I will say that it's something that can apply to all of those different areas will be the testing at all points is something that must happen whenever we're running a different either experiment or different industry, different offer. But then when we're running those, it's important that we continue on constant evolution. Like, it's not only about like testing it once and then let the offer run for the rest of the time. It's important to constantly be testing different approaches, different strategies, different ideas, to not only see what is the right way of getting the results, but as well to see how much can we diversify one offer, right? And this testing can come in terms of different channels, different campaign structure, different approaches, different solutions, and so on, right? When we talk about incrementing the budget, like a lot of buyers will start the testing with like a testing budget, and then from there, whenever we make sure that all the conversions are being tracked, that the CPAs are looking good, that the traffic is good, the costs are okay, are within the parameters that we're looking at, then we go into the increasing, right? In here, it's important to make sure that the incremental on the budget, it is either planned beforehand, or it is like a constant increment that will not alter a lot the CPA that we have. Because if we've been working, or we've been like warming up an account for calling it away, right? And then we have the right CPA that we were looking at, and then we just boost our uh, spend highly, then we don't want that CPA to just change drastically. So in here, it's very important to have in mind an incremental like planification beforehand, right? It's important to have as well a quality score, a high quality score. This will help you a lot with placements and biddings. So it's quite simple, but at the same time, it can be a little bit tricky on certain verticals that are very restricted on terms of what is going to be the channel that we're going to be using and what's going to be the strategy. So in these types of how can we increment our quality score, we can always go on specific basis, and we can always go on a one-on-one, like what will it be the best strategy for that. The keywords at all time, they have to be compliance, it has to be a compliance content, and it has to be not only the right one, but it has to be as well evolving at all times. Like if we see that the constant conversions or the traffic is getting better, or it's like probably not changing, then the content should always be something that we can manage and that we can always oversee. And now, of course, when I talk about keywords, I mean whenever we're running uh, uh, any funnel that includes them, right? Now on bidding, a lot of there are a lot of strategies. Like there are so many ways of start your bidding. You can go from max conversions, max clicks, to target CPA or ROAS. And in here it depends on, one, what is the strategy that you're following, and two, it depends on what is the actual let's say stage that you're going to be running, and what is the budget that you have for those. There is not a golden rule. Like in here, we all go back to, it depends. It depends to on what is the offer, what is the funnel that we're going to be utilizing, and what's going to be as well the different strategy that we're going to follow. So for that, like we can always play with both. We can always be choosing either or. There is not one of them that will be bringing us better results. They are just both focusing on different targets. One of them will focus on maximizing the most conversions, and the other one will be focusing on the specific setup cost that we want, right? And then in here we come with the strategy. Like we have and this is something that I like to call the quality versus quantity, right? If we want to focus on ramping up our account the quickest way possible, and we just want to go for maximized clicks for a specific period of time, and then moving into a different bidding strategy, this will help us get the most conversions at first, get an understanding on the algorithm, on how the audience is looking, what's converting, and then from there moving into what's going to be a more restricted or a more control, if we want to call it a cost, right? And then we have the other strategy, the one that will be first focusing on getting the right cost, the right number of conversions, sorry, the right CPA on the conversions. And then once we have that, then we'll be moving on into the quantity, right? So there is not a golden rule, not one of them that will perform better. It depends on what's the offer, and what's the strategy that we want to follow. Now, probably when we talk about no, the next one, I think it's gonna be back on you, right?
Yes. So I guess we're gonna talk about a little bit the conversion API, something we discussed a little bit before the webinar. Like as with other traffic sources, Google Ads is not immune to the privacy updates, and obviously it needs data to convert. It needs data to optimize. Like one of the best ways for us to give Google what it needs is to feed the data, like as many conversions as possible. Like to give you an example, like I don't know off the top of my head what the number or what the sweet number is for Google, but we all know that, let's say for Facebook, it wants like that the famous 50 conversions a week. So uh, always try to give the Google as many conversions as you can. That's why you need sometimes to implement a conversion API solution, which will be able to send data back to Google and upload data in near real time. Like there are solutions around there that may do some best efforts and send conversions once a day, but we know what the problem is. We want to feed data as soon as possible and make that algorithm work for us. So instead of taking care of or instead of dealing with slow APIs, we'd rather go with a solid API. And talking about that, we have a pretty solid API conversion API reporting with Cloudflare, which I guess some of you guys know that is one of our products of our product portfolio. And like in all honesty, I did a test of mine. We managed to get like 95, 98%, depending on the geos, of conversion match rate. So that is strictly and very important, because if we fail, like those campaigns that I managed to get that sweet 25% ROI in terms of results, would have never been there if I wouldn't have a conversion API. And doing it with Google Tag Manager or server-side Tag Manager was kind of impossible because of the implication of running with third-party offers. Then Something else we would like to do is get rid of best bet placements, especially if you're running display campaigns. We, I guess most of you guys knows, especially those who have had experience with Google Ads, is that at the beginning of any of those display campaigns, we may get traffic from low competition placements, which are not the ones that we're looking for. And for that very reason, we would like to react quickly and get rid of them. But don't overdo it, and don't try to be super aggressive with it, because at the same time, Google's algorithm should be working on the back end, and you don't want to kind of force the system in a way that it kind of backfires, it kind of ruins everything for you. So definitely use automation. From the way I see it and from our perspective, I've seen guys doing pretty decent numbers thanks to automation. So definitely do automation, and definitely uh, follow through with the algorithm. Also, if you're running search campaigns, you can exclude unrelated search terms, like something I've seen pretty often with my own campaigns. Like, let's say when I was running campaigns for the optimizer, I used to get all sort of optimizers from related search terms. Like practically, I would get image optimizer, video optimizer, Windows PC optimizer, which practically are not relevant to our product. Like, we are an advertising optimization platform. So for that very reason, like, I don't want to get clicks, or I don't want to pay for clicks that a Windows PC optimizer is trying to get, or an image optimization platform is trying to get. So from that perspective, you can implement automatic rules, and that's going to save you a ton of money, like really a ton of money, especially if we're talking about verticals, or if we're talking about specific campaigns that appeal to the broader audience, like life insurance, auto insurance, or pet insurance. Like, if you're running a pet insurance campaign, you will likely don't want to get auto insurance leads or auto insurance clicks, because those are not relevant to you. Then when it comes to scaling campaigns, something which seems to be working decently well is automatically cloning winning ad groups. Like, it goes through a learning stage initially. Then once the algorithm kicks in, you want to duplicate that winning ad group in order to scale horizontally and not only vertically. Like, with time, it adds up and it helps you scale aggressively. And then what you can do is fine tune the keywords. And when I say fine tune the keywords, sometimes we end up in a bid war with our competitors. Like, if I'm buying, let's say, 200 clicks of pet insurance today, and you jump in on the same vertical and you're getting 100 of those 200 clicks of mine, I'm going to see a drop in volume. Why? Because I'm going to buy less clicks, and that's pretty simple. So instead of uh, dealing with lower volume just because someone else entered my own funnel, I can enter bid war, and instead of doing it manually, I can actually do it automatically. And that's the cool thing about it. Like, back in the days, we used to use auto bidders, not only with Google but with other traffic sources, and that kind of helped us scale our campaigns and get things in shape quite aggressively and quite quickly. Like, when we talk about automation and we talk about automatic rules, I would highly recommend going for the optimizer. Now, I know that a lot of you guys don't know don't know the ins and outs of the platform unless you get or on a call with us, like with me or one of my colleagues. But really, like, it's a gem when it comes to automation, because it kind of gives you the tools that you really need to scale instead of just moving slowly and manually. So A, I would highly recommend get on the optimizer. B, I would highly recommend get on Clickfair for the conversion API. And not only, like, you will have the cost tracking, you will have the full visibility on your traffic, and we have direct tracking, which is very compliant with Google. And instead of you dealing with I don't know, all sorts of limitations from the tracker, you can even customize the payload of the conversions that you're sending to Google. So if you're looking at my screenshot here, you will see that here you can add to the configuration and customize the payload the way you want. So you can push the product details, you can push the product ID, you can push all sorts of information that Google Ad needs in order to optimize uh, on its best practices for the campaign that you have, instead of dealing with limited data. But obviously, just launching the campaigns and optimizing the campaigns doesn't do the trick. Like, as we know, content is king. Funnel is part of it, and when it comes to funnels, you want to have a proven a decent funnel. Like, depending on the vertical, depending on the offer that you are pushing, you would like to have different structures. Like, you can have advertorial, from the ad to the advertorial, product page and checkout page, or you can have from the ad to the VSL, advertorial and checkout page, or you can go directly to the product page and checkout page. Or if you're running a lead generation campaign, you will want to go directly to a quiz. And that's sort of like, there is no one size fits all. Because if we're talking about search traffic, it's sort of like a pull thing. Like, some people will have intent on what they are searching. But if we're talking about display traffic, that might, even for a quiz, that might want to go through a landing page or an advertorial. So depending on the campaign that you have, and depending on the traffic that you are buying, you would like to test what works best. Just like Gustavo mentioned earlier, you want to test it before making assumptions. Like, I don't remember how many times I've made assumptions and saying like, hey, like, this landing page or this funnel that I put so much work in it is gonna kill it. Bottom line was the other way around. Like, the least one that I was expecting to perform was performing great. So let's jump into a few examples, so we have a rough idea of what's a good landing page. And we'll start with this landing page, which belongs to a product promoted by what's the hold on, Nicole Kidman. Yeah. So Nicole Kidman had her own line of skincare products. So it should be like Ceratopic Revival or something. I totally forgot the name. So what does this feature have? So it features a pretty bold headline with a bold claim about the product effectiveness, but also it has a subheadline which associates the product with a well-known celebrity that emphasizes the popularity and urgency to purchase the product. Then it shows an image, like the main image shows the celebrity with the product in hand. That kind of gives that extra proof for the product, which makes it appealing to the major audience. Then it targets an audience that values high quality, scientifically advanced skincare solutions, and those who might be influenced by celebrity endorsements. We go through problem identification. Then we build credibility through Davidson's credentials and experience. Then we show results by showing before and after. Then we go through celebrity endorsements and the special discount, which is a pretty decent discount of 40%. So this advertorial is pretty complete, and it kind of walks you through a step-by-step process of convincing the audience to buy the right product, and that is the right product. Like, these kind of things work really great. Like, it may look a bit old school in terms of design, but it works really great. The other one is a knee massage device. So it still has a bold headline. It has a hero section with a call to action. It has the core benefits of the product. It has testimonials. It identifies the problems, provides solutions, builds trust with the actual reviews and then feedback from users. Then it explains how to use the products, and knocks out the competitions by comparing the product and comparing it to the competitors, as well as showing a frequently asked questions. Then we move to a healthcare product, which clearly tells what the product does right from the headline. It has a hero section which features a picture of the product and quotes of user reviews. We have benefits that continue to expand as you scroll down to the product page. We still have testimonials. We identify the product problem, we provide the solution, and then we build trust using the featured in section and the team behind the product with by showing who has developed the product. It shows how to use the product, as well as compares it to other products and frequently asked questions. Then we move to a multi-step quiz funnel, which is very often seen with lead generation offers. As you can see here, the headline clearly tells what the website does and why you should enter your details. It has a clearly positioned call to action with low friction for better user experience. And then on the steps of the quiz, it shows icons. So practically, it makes the navigation smoother for all users in order to drop the friction and avoid that need of reading the small text. So it has no drop down list in general. Like it has you have to scroll through the buttons and simply push it, and when you push to the button you move to the next step. So instead of using a long form, which would be super boring for anyone to fill, even for us that we know what the website might be for. Instead, it goes to a multi-step, and that kind of helps you to capture pieces of information step by step from the user without creating a huge friction. Like if I'm going to see a huge, like a really long form to fill, I'm going to most likely freak out and move on from it. It shows recognizable brands, making it clear who provides the service, as well as the processing screen, like when it is processing the data and then showing immediate results. Obviously, the visitor is going to get a call right after filling out the form, or they're going to call it if we're talking about pay per call campaigns. But these kind of landing pages work really great. And if you're into lead generation, I would highly recommend checking with LenderLab, because we're working on a really cool update which will allow you to build this type of funnels, this type of multi-step forms and quizzes, by also allowing you to keep track of what the answers of the users are, and so you can better profile your audience and build an audience, and then start building better quizzes relying on your audience's answers. When it comes to the landing pages, best practices, let's wrap it once again. So use strong, captivating headlines that capture audience interest. Add compelling images on advertorials like product in use, before and after, product in hand, and animated GIFs. Uh, Always A/B test variants. You never know what's going to work best, so always add a second variant or a third variant if needed to A/B test it, and you can tell which landing page works best by actually seeing the CTR of the landing page. List the product and or solution benefits. Like make sure all the benefits are visible and are easy to read from the audience. If you're running lead generation, add multi-step forms, add social proof, show where to buy the product with a clear call to action. Position the call to action strategically. Like sometimes you may need to add a sticky button that goes through the landing page, like it's always present there. Leverage limited time offers. Like sometimes you will need to add a timer there that is kind of showing that there is no more time left until before the price before for you to purchase the product, because either the product will become obsolete or the product will return to its normal price when you have an aggressive discount. And also take advantage of the decoy effect by providing hard to say no deals. Now, before we jump into the next step, Gustavo, please walk us through a little bit. Like obviously, these examples of advertorials give a rough idea what the advertorial should look like and how we should approach it. But what are some of the best practices when it comes to Google compliance? Like it is changing over and over again, but it's not something that we are keen to kind of going back and forth. Like give us a quick overview of what's happening with when it comes to compliance.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll go back to the same, right? Like it depends a lot on the type of business model. Like if we're talking about ARP, if we're talking about affiliation, if we're talking about within affiliation, like VSL or like display, search, content, comparison. Like at the end of the day, it depends a lot on the type of business model. Like if you go from mobile content to like affiliation business model, like it all be different in terms of the flow. But when we talk about compliance, like the way that we can summarize it or that we can oversee it is that um, it should be compliance, right? Like at all points, we should follow the policy. We should follow the compliance, and for example, be up to date, right? Like in here, we talk about the constant changes. Like policy, it's always evolving, and not only evolves according to the vertical, but it evolves according to the specific location. For example, financial services change for different regions, and they are like policies that it's important to have not only under the radar, but like be in control of what am I offering and what are the different policy changes that might affect that. I know keeping up track on all of that, it's hard, and that's why probably on the next steps you'll make a little bit more sense on how to follow up with both of us. Like in my end, whenever we talk about Google traffic, uh, if there is no direct support that anyone in here or like that you guys have directly with Google, like we'll show you how to get in contact with us, and then we can oversee everything and we can explain more in depth how, depending on the business model that you're running, it'll be how can we support and how can we contribute with a collaboration, right? Like when we talk about verification on accounts, it's very important to verify that at the moment that you commit, follow the steps, and as well certify it. Like if you're going to be launching something that it's restricted, that required certification, it's important to have that certificate before you launch. And when we talk about policy in terms of content, like anything that we have within the content of our traffic should be compliance, right? Like from like I mentioned, from the vertical to the actual regions that we're going to be talking. And if we can summarize it, it'll be like the headlines, the assets, everything has to be compliant. Like the imagery has to be like in line with what we have in terms of policies. No over promising or headlines or narrative that like go beyond what we can actually deliver, right? And probably I will leave it here, because I know that if we talk about policy, listen, we can take a week and we will never be over, because we will have to go back to the beginning, because the beginning of the conversation already changed by the time we're finishing. So it's an evolution, it's a constant evolution. So at the same time that we should evolve at all times with our content, our like approaches, we should also be up to date and be aware of the evolution on the policies that dictate those contents, right?
All right. So before moving to our contacts, I would like to go through a few next steps that I would highly recommend everyone to go through. So the first one is set up your Google account, your Google Ad accounts, following Gustavo's advices, and on the next slide you will get a point of contact where to get in touch with Gustavo. Like I would highly recommend getting on a call with him, even if you don't have anything running on Google. Get on a call with him and explain him like what are you running, what would you like to scale, and what is your best approach on how to take it. Because we can talk about compliance, as Gustavo said, for a week long and still not get anywhere. But if we're looking at specific cases, you will be able to get actionable tips on your specific case on how to move forward. And Gustavo is the best guy to show you that stuff. Then when it comes to the rest of the stuff, I would highly recommend creating strong advertorials, product pages, or multi-step forms. And with Lender Lab, we have a pretty decent solution for you. Set up the conversion API with Clickthere, automate repetitive tasks with the optimizer. And I would love to get in touch, even with those of you who we have been already in touch. Let's get on a call together. We have some really cool updates that are going to change the way that you optimize things. So uh, getting on a 30 minutes calls won't hurt anyone. And definitely not me, even if it's too many calls, but definitely not you. And then stay compliant. So before we wrap it up, I would like to share with you our slides with the QR codes where you can contact with Gustavo and myself. uh, from my side, if I'm not available to get on a call, you will likely get on a call with one of my colleagues, like who will walk you through the same details. Or but I will try to be on all calls. But definitely get on a call with Gustavo. Like I highly recommend it. And if you have anything, Gustavo, to add to this one, like what kind of information should they be prepared to share with you? Like if you
Sure,
can give a rough idea, so
sure.
they know what to be prepared about.
Perfect. Like, I mean, the very next step, like, just scan the QR code and it'll take you to a Google form. And in the form, it has like kind of a general information in terms of like what are the business models that you're running, what are the type of industries. Like, don't worry about having something beforehand. In the form, you will have the basic information that I will need in order to book a call or jump on a call. And even if you find that some of that information probably you don't have it, or like you are maybe unaware of what to put, like just feel as much as you can, get in touch, and then we can follow up. Because as you were saying, like, the more specific we can go, the more useful it'll go both ways, right? Like, I can tell you what is exactly that we can oversee, that we can support, how can we collaborate, and what is also the potential. Because at some point it is quite not common, but it happens quite often that a lot of players will have they will be running traffic in different sources, but they never picture, or they never explored Google, or they tried at some point but it didn't work, and they just had the idea that probably this is not going to work on Google. Before anything, like, let me know, jump on a call, and then we can go through and I can tell you either yes, you were right, or like it actually can be done if we adapt it to the compliance, and we follow all the compliance, and we follow all the rules, right? Because that's what we want to do at the end of the day. We want to be we want to support you, and we want to follow up. So that will probably be everything that I will add up. And if there are any questions, like in the form, you will be able to reach out any of us.
Amazing, amazing, Gustavo. I think we already went over time for today. Like we had it planned for like 30 minutes, and we went like 45 or something. Yeah, we're over 45 minutes. Again, sign up for both QR codes. Like scan them both. Get on a call with us, and we don't want to sell. Let's be clear. We don't want to sell. We want to get to a point where we are able to help you. If we're not able to help you, there's nothing for us to sell. Let's make it clear. So one last thing. In the next weeks, I'm gonna host a webinar about the latest updates of the optimizer. We are adding some new cool stuff which are in the works. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make sure that that I'm sending you an invitation for that, because there we will talk about automatic rules with real examples and use cases, like real use cases, which I think will be beneficial for all of you. So until next time, thanks, and looking forward to have you again on our next one. Bye bye.
Have a good one. Bye.